us, we all ran away on the cow. We go protest to make you gun. Next time I swallow that gun belly, he carried 2 guns in a car. The police people is stupid. When you arrested the car, for them to wait and go to the courthouse and get a search warrant, they didn't get a search warrant. They go search the man car without search warrant. That was the technicality that I would let. Once somebody won't forget it, you forget it the same way. I don't even know gun issue. I told them I'm not listening to y'all. Tell me only going for bringing out about the gun business. I'll talk about the gun business. I'll talk. That man, the guns were for Yemen. We lied for Yemen. Ain't that what you want to do? We defended Yemen. We fought for him. Today, he wants to attack me and say lies about me. I will not listen to my dead man say, oh, Burton, if she came from the grave and told me to stop talking. More than one thing, you are bringing her up. And the man won't fight that. Come loud, I'm talking about my baby money to stabilize CPP. Get naked, guns in the car. We said, yeah, get some thought. I'm not letting you to nobody. You can be rude. You call me wasting your time. I'm not letting you.
Good afternoon and a pleasant welcome to Freedom Hub on 87.9. And this is the official voice of Freedom Communications Incorporated. Today is September 30th, the 30th of September 2021. And gradually we have October, November, and December. And we're going to be saying goodbye to 2021. How's your resolution? How's the plan that you've made? With reference to what you needed to have achieved this year. How is it going? Is it still intact? Are you finding it difficult to implement what you planned? Or whatever the case is, or whatever the situation may be, I want to say, keep the faith, keep your dreams very, very sizable. Don't make it too big. Don't let it be, beyond your reach. In Liberia, we say, cut your coat according to your measurement. Hang your clothes where your hand fits. Too many issues happening in the country. Yesterday, we were able to speak with the authorities of the Liberian National Police over the alleged issue of ritualistic killings and mysterious death across the country. You'll be surprised to know the outcome of that investigation. And today, we're going to have a lot of that conversation on this platform for the sole purpose of informing the people of our country. During the course of the second segment, we're going to have a very experienced Liberian economist Honorable Summer Jackson. Jackson is going to be our guest. He's going to tell us more about the economic situation in our country relative to some gradual growth that we are experiencing, especially when it has to do with the road to macroeconomic stability. We have had a situation where inflation has dropped from around 30% to a single digit of 8%. Or was it? What signs do we have on the wall as a country in terms of moving this economy forward? You will draw us through that technical and economic area. On the same flip side, Honorable Summer Jackson will ride us through the issue of foreign diplomacy with reference to the government of Liberia and the international community. At the same time, the opposition political parties and their involvement with lobbying with lobbyists across the world to sanction Liberia and to at the same time suppress the U.S. administration. Summer Jackson will run us through all of those political stuff. By the time we're back from our team song, we'll run more into the issues making the news in Liberia. Is the country not stable? Everything in place? Do we have people who are doing everything possible to support the name of this country? Or what should the police do? Or what should the government in particular do? Join the conversation with Alexa and I. We'll be running into the issues making the news in Liberia. Okay, so welcome back. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Oliver. And good day to all of you who are following the broadcast today. We'd like to say welcome to another great edition. For me, it's a little bit a side day, but we're not really going to say way too much about some of the controversial moments. We'd like to say welcome, and there are a couple of things. If you followed yesterday, we had to really ELDC and Oliver was as well present there interviewing the IG of the Liberia National Police, talking about the ritualistic killing or alleged ritualistic killing in our country. So this first segment so far, we're going to talk about it and provide you all of the information you need to know about the investigation so far and how far the police is when it comes to making sure all of these things are minimized. So we'd like to say welcome.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, since we'll have our guest doing the second segment, Alexa, we will roll strictly into the issues making the news in this country. Everybody is concerned. Everybody is on the alert. There is this fear syndrome in country, and to be honest with this conversation, Alexa, and those of you following the conversation, this is happening to this country as a result of poor information dissemination. I'm going to reiterate. We are having these misinformations in country because of the lack of coordination from the angle of government information dissemination machinery. Now, with that said, let's run into what exactly happening in this country and let us get it clear. Within the past 10 days, Alexa and fellow Liberians, okay, let me try to make some adjustment. Okay, so like I told you, within the past 10 days, we have had this issue of people posting pictures on social media, including videos of people being killed in this country, allegedly for ritualistic purposes. What that means is that the ritualistic in simple terms means people kill somebody and wanting to use the person's body parts to do medicine, to do either money medicine or political power medicine or protection medicine, whatever it is. When you put it together, the both people call it ritualistic, purposes. That's what it's been alleged to be the case in Liberia. Now, what we managed to have gathered on social media can be, can be placed in a very, very simple form when we do the calculation. Now, let me not be distracted by what I'm getting here on my phone. But we have had a little over 5 cases of these quote-unquote alleged ritualistic activities. And as a presenter of this show, as a researcher and a political pundit, and somebody who believes in Liberia and wants to see this country move forward, I personally, as an individual, was disturbed by the increasing wave of information we received over the period linking Liberia to an issue of ritualistic killing, where you look up the money and say somebody died, and this is happening. So we managed to have done our investigation, and here are a few things that we gathered. Number one, fellow Liberians, there is a voice recording of a lady who said she was on keke, and a motorbike going towards the Pinsville area, and the put handkerchief to her nose, and what about the case is. We were able to interview the leadership of the Liberian National Police yesterday, on EOBC. It was made clear to us that incident that occurred, the lady was invited by the police to provide more information. Her family requested, after some preliminary questioning from at the level of the Liberian National Police, her family requested that she be taken to a medical institution for some form of checkup, so that she will return in her sound mind and very, very healthy for the investigation to continue. The police, in their wisdom, according to what IG Patrosuru said, decided to allow the family go with their daughter and take the daughter to a medical institution where she will be, treated. Right? To a medical institution where she will be treated. According to what the police made us to understand, whenever they call the family to have the girl return for what you call, continuing investigative proceedings, they will put up some excuse. The first day they say, oh, the girl is resting. The second day, the next thing the family is telling the police, the woman is of age, she in Broadway area. We can't force the woman to go to the police station and whatever. That was the account of the police. I asked a question during the interview yesterday, and I said, this woman was an individual of interest. Don't you think it was appropriate that the police assign a police officer with this lady while she's going to do her quote-unquote medical checkup, so that officer will guarantee her safety? Because we are suspecting that people are being planted in this country to just recall funny, terrible news about the country, just to instill fear in the minds of our international partners, Liberians who want to return to the country at the end of the year in December, and Africans who will be returning to this country during the bicentennial event we're going to be celebrating next year as a country. So I asked a question that it was duly important for the police to have had at least an officer assigned to the girl and her family, so that the officer will be able to be, having direct watch over the lady in question, because she is now an individual of interest. According to what the chief investigator told us, it was that the lady in question was not a suspect, and there was nothing under the law that could guarantee any form of having security attached to her once she was not comfortable. So because of privacy, they allowed that to happen. But they have the records of the family. They have the lady information. They have everything, and they are going to call her. Subsequently they're going to get her and do the investigation. So that is on point number one. On point number two, the guy who had all of the plaster on his nose, who alleged that he was taken from Bourgeois Island before he knew it, he was in Batala. The police did their investigation. They went to the church that he claimed he claimed to be a member of. They contacted his bishop. The bishop promised that he will work with the police to ensure that this guy is made available. All right. As we speak, the whereabouts of the very guy who said, he was taken to Batala, beyond Batala for ritualistic purposes or whatever. We don't know where he is. The police is yet to identify him, but the police managed to have gotten in contact with his church members and several other community people who know him very well. Now, what is very interesting to note is that this guy, in his video confession, right, or better say his video testimony, made it clear that why he was taken to Bone County by unknown men to kill him, whatever the case is, he made several calls. There were too many people who were calling him, including his wife. His wife will call him, and how you call this thing? He will be canceling the woman call. A certain time, he put the phone silence and put it into his trousers. The police, again, as a way of investigating, went to the court and prepared a document subpoenaing the call log of this individual. There is something called call log. All the call we can be making around the country, all of the telephone call we can be making around this country, all of the telephone calls we can be making around this country, fellow Liberians, wherever you are, anywhere you're sitting down, anywhere you are, when you make one telephone call, the place you're sitting where you made that call, it will register. The person who calling you will register. Right? So we're having some technical problem. I hope all is well. So every single call you are making, that call is going to be recorded. The place you are standing to make that call, it will be recorded. Those who calling you, their information will be recorded, and you too, your information will be recorded, because when you bought the SIM card newly, you use your voter registration card or your national ID card to register the SIM card. So the police got this guy who said he was taken to Bone County call log. The very time he said he was in Bone County, the very time he said he was witnessing all the kind of things, people killing people, they got one room where they can kill people in, it was that same time the police managed to have had his call log. When the police got the call log, the same time the guy said he was in Bone County behind Batala, this man was seen in Monrovia through the call log, intercepting 2 minute calls. Let me say this to you. Why this man say he was in how to call the place, Batala, the call log shows that he was never in Batala. The dates he said, the date he said this thing happened. So for instance, on the day he said all of this thing happened, he received several telephone calls. I repeat, he received several telephone calls. Some of the calls he received, he was at Plaza Cinema, he was in Douala, he was in this way, he was in this way, and this way is right here in Monserrado. He was in this way, he spent a lot of time in this way. So when you go further down, he received another call, he made another call there was an outgoing call in Nicrotown. So I mean, he was in Nicrotown when he made an outgoing call. Right? Now, you go further down, you will find out that he had a message, SMS, They may have message, at the same Plaza Cinema. He received message at Plaza Cinema. Now, he received a telephone call. He was at Plaza Cinema again. He received another telephone call. He made this telephone call at Plaza Cinema. He made another telephone call at Plaza Cinema. Then he received a text message at the same Plaza Cinema, right? He went to Nicrotown. He made telephone call in Nicrotown. He made another telephone call in Nicrotown to a number that ends in 63. He made another telephone call in Nicrotown to the same number that ends in 63. He made another telephone call in Nicrotown to the same number that ends in 63. This man, all of the time he said he was in Bond County, the call law revealed that he was in Monserrado. So there was nothing of such that could correlate anything that may have transpired in Bond County to what, was revealed on the call log. So that case number 2, we have now in question. Case number 1, the lady who said she was this and that, the police waiting to help her. The police is asking, come to us. We already here. We already got you on board. Let's go to where you said the people doing the thing so that we can manage to know who get our horse so that investigation can start. Up to this minute, she is not willing to cooperate with the police, and it is an issue of concern. Number 2, the very guy who said he was misbehaving, doing all kinds of stuff, who said people were killing him. There is a place in Bond County where they always slaughtering people. This man, the very time he said you were in Bond County, the call log I just read to you, I just read part of it. When you go to the police headquarters, they'll give you the call log. Even your information is there. All of the calls he made on that particular day and all of the dates he said you were in the bush, the call log will only reflect this guy being in Monrovia, especially on the Bourgeois Island between Claratown, Doe Community, Plaza Cinema, Disvey, and Nicrotown. Number 3, there was another video the guys posted yesterday of a motorcyclist who was killed. They posted a video yesterday and day before yesterday to show that it was a fresh situation. Again, our investigation from the police revealed with the charge sheet and other investigations, including the numbers of that guy who died, the relative who reported the case to the police, his family members who reported the case to the police, those who were alleged, the initial arrests that were made, all the information concerning that guy who they said died, the so clearly with motorbike issue. That incident occurred way in 2018, and the police started investigating that process. Initial steps were taken, decisions were made, and the case, as we speak, the case is with the court, according to what we got from the police. The case files today can be seen at the Labrador National Police Headquarters. When you go there, you will have it. Moses Carter is going to forward it to me. The names and numbers of all of those who forwarded the case to the police can be seen. You can call them, you in the public, you will call them and verify. That fresh video where you saw the guy lying in the bush and the motorbike parked, the other person saying, oh, that motorbike down there, so yeah, that motorbike you're using, they came in the lead motorbike here. That video was done in 2018. It is not recent something. It is not recent something. So that is another case that we don't even trust again. To link this whole false alarm thing to. Now, on the 4th occasion, there is a situation that occurred in Cornwall where a lady called Orita was discovered dead. Where a lady called Orita was discovered dead, right? Now, in actual essence, Orita was discovered dead in Cardwell. You understand me? Orita was discovered dead in Cardwell, and please to our actions that we're referencing her situation, but we were able to investigate, and we found out that a family member of Orita provided the family's account of what happened, and we'll play you that voice on the radio today. We'll play you the family voice on the radio today. You understand what I mean? We'll play the family voice on the radio today so that you hear from the family's mouth. It was Orita's death that a lot of people use a picture of a lady whose stomach was open from her neck down. It was that Orita's death that people went and found a picture that is not even a Liberian case. That picture was not something that occurred in Liberia. It was this Orita death that they linked it to. The lady who is a family member to Orita made us to understand, when I say us, I mean the media, that no single part was extracted from Orita. In fact, it was only Orita's job, her face, that they did the mob. You know, it was her face that was badly damaged and injured that led to her death. Not a single part was extracted. Orita's family member made us to even understand during our investigation that they invited the police, and the police equally made some initial arrests, and Orita's former boyfriend is a suspect in that case. He's been arrested. He's in police custody according to what the family, member of Orita said, and it was further validated by the police inspector general when we had an interview yesterday. Let me go to the details of this by playing you the account of Orita's family member. The first thing is, we'll play you the discovery of Orita's body. You'll find her family members there crying, crying Orita, and a Bassa woman there will be, speaking to the body and requesting for the body to reveal who did the killing. Listen to it. Take your time and listen. Just take your time. So as you're listening, this is Orita's family people crying when they discover her body in Caldwell. This is Orita's family crying when they discover her body in Caldwell. So you getting it? That was the point where Orita's family discovered the body in Caldwell and they were crying. Now later on, Orita's family member, decided to grant an interview to the press when they discovered that a wrong picture of their daughter was in circulation. A wrong picture linking, their terrible situation, to that wrong picture on Facebook. When they noticed that, they decided to grant an interview with journalists to provide their own side of the issue. Here is a family member from Orita speaking.
Child in Mayflower, he will tell her that the day you leave me, I will kill you. But she take it to be love talk. Last time she told me, I said, he will kill me. I said, but if the man tell you that the day you leave him, he will kill you, some men can keep you in the heart. If he tell you that he will leave you, he's not joking. Take the complaint to the police and let the police know. Check in case maybe he may say it, but it may not be the doer. Someone will come after it and do it. And you may not know who do it. They will do the statement. You know that man can't kill me. That man can't kill me. That's only that wouldn't fire woman for him. You can take it to be promoted. And they pay on it. Later, I had to quit the relationship. The man was jealous. And I wanted to swallow the man would beat on her. Several times he been beating on her. So she decided to quit the relationship. And they pay him their best. She was pregnant for him, and so she had abortion. He born first, why she had to take part in the She said, boy, not me today. I sat down one motor back in the so it was not my fault. So for that, he born first. And the day that competition said December, they started. But for each time you see her, you always attack her. For each time you see her, you always attack her. So the day one day for people attack her, she will bring up I said, for me, I didn't have that case. You don't want to get your case here already. They can tell you, take the man to the police station. But then she didn't take it serious, and today it read to the fact. And the man in question, since the woman down, he not even stepped there. All his friends went there. They were crying, they supported with us. They never home until the burial. They never stepped there. So yesterday now, his friends then went for him. So, mommy, he not hear that Orida. He said, I hear it, but I now will not get talk. They said, but you hear the person not get talk. But I you was laughing. So why is it that you not go there? He said, the place might not get talk. I can't go there. So he said, but then, say you will not get talk. Go wish the woman, Baba, and go to one woman and the one even if and then go to the cemetery. You go they are now respect to the woman. He said, you not go there. So your friend, before we can get there, we only saw the political coming in with a jacket and they were carrying him. So we also know you said that he they were carrying. So how the police they told me yesterday. So for them morning, I had to come here to the house. I had to come in, they say, oh, you are needed to sell. I said, for what? I said, come here. You get one of the suspects here. And how we went there. When I came here now, I saw the man in question. And I said, oh, from my boyfriend. So I call him to I see. But then I gave you the reference story. The person, how long you don't want to get up? How long you are part for? You say, I don't want to get up. We parted for 63 years. I say, you laugh. You must have touched it. 2020. They want to some of your parts. The oil confusion, you always used to steal your tackle. She told me before. He said, we pass 80 years. I say, you laugh. I moved here 2017. I never said, she was a good man for another man. But she get it 2020. 2021. You are getting that confusion. You are parted. So you get me saying, you must have passed 3 years. I will not believe it. I left him roasted the way you know me too. I had put him in IC. So now he find another pony. After the police say, you know, yeah, or we thought that he said, I know yeah, soon, but somebody told me who the person I told you. He said, one of the call excuse. So they sent for excuse key. Excuse, yeah, you are the one that break the news to them, man. They kept excuses down, they may not do anything. I didn't see them. The thing I see them was yesterday, but the man went for him to the house, to the cemetery. I didn't see them. He talking so confusing thing. The woman thought I came out to say, oh, you mama have confusion and for the child. You got to an apple, say, my papa, he won't no child. The child I married my sister now, you are claiming the child to be a he said he wanted the child. My sister said, my sister too stupid want to she get a child to he. The child you see the last thing, the child even staying with him, man. He peaceful related. The one I don't know. The woman they peaceful related now she left church. She told the child was spending time with him, he peaceful community. My son know that he turned the child over to him, and the child was using the last week. But then she decided, after the fact, she decided to take the child back from him to give it to the Reverend Father that one day he dead. He always used to attack her for the child. Many days she broke up, she had the proof for her. He attacked her, he whole about him, he started all the my daughter, he told for me, I said, one my daughter, but she for the child for you, married a child with me. Of course, you are helping me for the child. He said the child, you use your last name. And now I refuse because the father was not helping me in the process to support the child. But now they get part start to support us all about the channel for you. And that child very paying healthy. I went for the body keeper. My uncle and my auntie, we went there with my other brother. We went there, we took the body. I carry her. I took her home. I dress her. Then I cut the attachment for her hair. I dress her, I do the dressing. I the boy, they put her in the casket. Nothing they took for her.
So the face, the video that people have seen, that face looks like, I don't know whether they use cutlass or I don't know whether they use, when you saw that mark, what do you think they already use on that face?
I can guess. Because I carry up the other to pay for. I saw the mark, they pull her here, I pull it from here, almost like iron. And because when she was shouting, they not walk any other place to walk for her muff. Now her mom they go from here all the way here, they go the OT, and the boss can I pay for, I put clothes on her, nowhere else the mark.
All right, you listening? You listen to this audio? Nowhere else they mark but her face. Nowhere else they brutalize her or they kill her from but her face. I took her behind the house. My brother, my auntie, and other people, we went to Kepa Funeral Home in Cardwell. By the way, Kepa Funeral Home is in Cardwell, Alexa. We went there and we were the ones who went for the body. We took the body behind my house. I bathed the body. This is her auntie speaking. Now, my take here is we're sad as a Liberian. I'm sad that Orita died the way it happened. And thankfully, the police did their investigation and her ex-boyfriend is a suspect. There are other folks who are suspect in the case. We want the police to expedite the process, with caution and professionalism so that we can reach to the bottom of this issue. But here is the game and here is the whole situation we're saying. There are cases of mysterious death in country. And this is not unique to Liberia. Should we continue to have it? No. Should the police do a lot more in safeguarding this country? 100%. Should the state security officers be on their alert to prevent these kinds of things from happening? 100%. We agree. But at the same time, it is very, very diabolical and inappropriate for Liberians to take photos from different countries, videos from different countries, with the sole intent to prove what you want to do. You want to create a negative impression of your country by blaming it on one government. And I keep saying this nonsense to people, right? Look, and that's why sometimes I say to people, I wish President Weah and his CDC could just wake up one morning and say, look, this is the leadership. Let him have it. Yeah, I wish this could be. I wish this could be. You understand that? But again, when you look it up, when people do these things because of their political interests, then it undermines the real intent of people like us who want to see everything better in this country. Why? Why will you go to the length of taking pictures from different countries when you know it didn't happen in Liberia? And you're spreading it and saying this is happening in Liberia. You know who's going to be affected if things go wrong? If there is sanction, if there is any bad news from Liberia, you, the ordinary citizens, will suffer. It is not your politicians, whether in ruling party or opposition party, that will suffer. No. It is not the business people who you think are the top brass who may have gotten involved into whatever ritualistic. They're not the ones that will suffer. When we be truthful to ourselves, right? If we look at the current situation happening and report exactly what is happening, the police will be in a right position to do a proper investigation in breaking the culprits to book. Like in the case of the Conway situation, you listen to the woman herself. Orita's, relative, you listen to her. Zone 7, she mentioned Zone 7. She mentioned Kepa Funeral Home. She mentioned several other places. Those are places you can go to verify. The woman said no stomach was open. Under the woman had a knock too much and led to her death. Now, why would you do that to your country? Why would you do that? And so that's exactly what our investigation led us to. Now, the case with that so clean area, yes, that guy was found dead before. That way 2018 video. But because of this whole thing of people wanting to just spoil the name of the country right away, you say, okay, see, the people already passing around with this stomach open video, and Orita to pass away in Kawa and the phone about it. They themselves too started to go and look for other videos of different stuff and bring it back to make things appear like it is happening. I'm not saying That was not a mysterious death. I'm saying it was direct. The police investigated it. The police already have it on fire, but it occurred in 2018. To bring 2018 to to 2021, it is criminal. It is false alarm. You are raising false alarm. It is not a good thing to do. It is not a good thing. There are people who have been killed in the 1970s and 1980s. I remember, when I was a kid, I was told a story that in Maryland County, 7 individuals were they were killed by the government because they were involved with bullying activities. So imagine somebody taking some of the victims of those times, their video or video footage, whatever it is, and bringing it to this era and saying, this is what is happening. Now, you make the whole thing complicated. That's what we are having on our hands as a country. The police should be on top of a game. That's what we are saying. We ask that the police be on top of the game, but at the same time, citizens should be truthful to what they say. If it is not happening, it is not happening. If it was not the case, it was not the case. The woman made it clear, yes, they found their daughter dead. Orita was discovered dead. Yes, but it was her head that was tampered with. They beat on her, they mauled her, through her head, and that what led to her death. She equally confirmed that no single part was taken from her body, not even fingernails. And to end it up, she made it clear that the Orita woman had issue with her boyfriend, the boyfriend who will always warn Orita that the day you, Orita, you leave me, I will kill you. The woman, her voice, and I just play it. So how then do you frame things on? You look at the case or the phone body in Conway, then you go out of Liberia, different country, and you find a body of a girl whose whole stomach was taken out, going through an autopsy process. Then you post it to make it appear like this country. No, come on, you don't do that to your country, man. Come on. We will leave one day. This CDC government will leave power one day. Georgia will leave one day. Imagine you coming to power with your own president, your own government, and people who were being in opposition at that time doing this kind of nasty things to you. Do you think you will be satisfied to govern a country in such a form and manner? Now, I'm saying this to you who are the politicians. No, don't allow political desperation to lead you to do this kind of stuff. That's what we're saying. Let's take politics out of what we are having on our hands as a country. The way we do it is to discourage our people from declaring false alarm, and at the same time to ask that government increase their surveillance, government increase their support for the police to increase their performance, so that in the end this country can be peaceful. But all I can say now to submit, so that we just run quickly and go and get our cause after Alexa briefly, is for us to discourage this issue of spreading false news across the country. Just imagine if the lady had not come out to provide this information. You know what would have happened? Everybody just going to be thinking that the woman whose stomach was open on the picture, passing on Facebook, everybody will be thinking it was actually a Liberian case. Now, you see what you've done to the country? Imagine those footages appearing in the international papers. You know what bad damage you've done to Liberia, and some of you still want to be leaders in this country. Do you know that what you're doing could affect you even when you manage to take power? Today, government, even the early administration still had to battle with the war we fought in this country. No, Ellie was not in power when we fought the war in this country, but while she was in power, she still had to battle with the negative effects of the war. Today, we are in power. Some of the negative effects of the war is still confronting his administration. So some of the nicer things you do, and you think you're playing politics, by the time you are given the chance to serve in country, it becomes difficult for you to smoothly run, because those things you did will actually come back haunting you. You don't do that to your country. I'm not going to say much, but like I told you, the police should do their job. The police should double up their game. Parents should talk to their kids. Community people should get involved. It should be a national approach, void of politics and other alignment. And at the same time, let community people start to be reasonable. Stop escalating things. Stop blowing things out of proportion, especially when you know that things not the way you want it. You're making it to appear. That's all I can say on this issue. Then we can grab our cars and by 5:05, we grab Honorable Sam Jackson, who is our guest on the second segment.
Just before we go to our phone lines, like I said, I'm 100% not pleased with a lot of things going on in our country, especially when it borders around misinformation. And if you can record, or if you are aware, misinformation has a way of, misleading people. It has a way of making sure people really get the wrong information, and that is not really accurate. So, I mean, for the past days, there has been a shock of fear really around Liberia, and a lot of people are afraid to move. A lot of people are afraid to even do their normal activities that, they usually do. So, here's the thing, right? Yesterday, the IG of police was live at ELBC, and Oliver was also there. And there were a couple of questions asked, as well as there were answers provided. And sometimes we really do not really expect the IG to give us answers as we're expecting, because these are security people and they know exactly how to really, do things, especially when it comes to the investigation of secret killings and all of that. But this is what I would like to say. I'm not really going to say much. This is what I would like to say. I have seen a lot of people who have claimed to be very smart, a lot of people who have claimed to understand several things going on in this country. But for the past days, I think they've been misled, especially when it comes to sharing photos on the social media, in the newspapers, as well as calling on several radio stations to really give their views on the issue of mysterious killings in Liberia, according to them somehow. But here's the thing, right? Whenever these things happen, we always have to give the national police the chance to do their investigation, thorough investigation, because we do not know exactly how to do that. So basically, we just see things and we're going to tell you, well, don't panic. You have to stay calm and wait on the police to provide every necessary information needed to know about all of these things that are unfolding in the country. But that is not the case. We have people who are considered themselves to be victims of, ritualistic killings, or people who said they were involved into it and they became survivors at the end of the day. But these are people who have failed to assist, the Liberia National Police in the investigation. So you have this person has already claimed, well, I was taken to this place, I was kidnapped, and I'm one of the persons who survived. So now you have to write, or you already have the opportunity. The people have already told you can come at the Liberia National Police and provide us all of the information needed, because number one, according to you, are a survivor, or probably you are a person of interest. So definitely it's important to reach out to Liberia National Police to provide every information needed to go ahead with the investigation. That also helps. And one of the things is, when we are talking about ritualistic killing, we know exactly what happened in Maryland just a few months back, right? And we saw the reactions from citizens of that part of Liberia. It was really bad, and a lot of us over here, we felt a real shock, because that was like the first time so far for some of us, and some people were already or used to seeing some of those things, especially in Maryland County. So if you're going to see what exactly happened in Maryland like a few months back, that would definitely give you a clear picture of exactly what you should do whenever these things arise, because this is something that causes a serious chaos in our country. Serious one. So you have this person, and another one. This is something that has been really politicized. It has been politicized from the angle of the guys from the other side of the river. So we're talking about, oh, this person has already died, or that person was killed, and now these are people who are saying, well, all of these things should be traced back to the government, because we have this government, and this government is responsible for all of the ritualistic killings. They're forgetting to know that we have a lot of individuals, especially when we're talking about ritualistic killings. We have a lot of individuals who are 100% involved in this, where people, like Oliver said, people use human parts for different purposes. So sometimes you have a businessman, sometimes you have a politician. It doesn't necessarily mean that person works in the government. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is definitely upon the government. But we know the government also has a responsibility through the Liberia National Police, and that's why they made it very clear, whenever you see these things, go ahead to Liberia National Police whenever you are a person of interest. Go ahead and do that, because no matter what happens, this is about Liberia. This is not about politics. This is about 100% the lives of ordinary citizens. This is about the safety of our country, because right now, as we speak, there are a couple of people. It's already like almost 4 o'clock, right? Right now, if you're just going to go on the road, because I really saw that yesterday, there are a couple of people right now who are not even ending classes. There are a couple of people who are now leaving work because they're saying, well, the town is already risky and we have to get home sooner. So these are people who are not really comfortable right now, doing their regular things they do, because we have fear all around the street. And a couple of people are saying, oh, the other killing happening on the side, the other killing happening on the side. So this is no politics. Just the other day when we had Ellen Cochran on Spoon Oliver, and at that time when they made a pronouncement about, oh, this person is involved in the ritualistic, and right after that moment, we started to see a lot of reports, right, about ritualistic killing. You look in this newspaper, you're going to say, well, this person's body was found. You look in this newspaper, you're going to see this other thing, and you listen to radio, listen to several news on ritualistic killing. What I'm trying to say, sometimes, right, these are things people see as an opportunity to get back at the government. And equally so, because like I said, it is not really politics. So when you have people already politicizing the lives of citizens, that should definitely get to you that there are people in this country who really do not mean well. And there are people who are equally making sure that citizens do not have, fit in the Liberia National Police, because now you're saying we have ritualistic killings going on. And you took pictures from 2018, you took pictures from out of Liberia just because you want people to believe what you're saying. So that is misinformation, and that cannot help in the investigation of whatever that is going on right now. So we have to be very careful in this country how we share information on sensitive issues, because at the end of the day, it would definitely get back to us and it would definitely ruin our country. So we don't really want that. When it comes to politics, well, we have to talk it the way it is. When it comes to the welfare of our citizens, it is also important to make sure there are a couple of things, put in place to make sure that all of these things about misinformation they are discouraged, because this is 100% not good.
I mean, well said. And we're just going to run quickly and get your calls on it. But yes, we're going to get your calls on it. 10 calls at most. And then we run to our guest who is already around. We'll run to our guest. We take 10 calls on it. And Alexa, that's the most splendid way you could put it. And so we're going to take 10 calls on it. We just told you what our investigation was able to uncover. It is now time for you to give us your own input. Call us on 86-500-104, 86-500-104, 776-104-104 are the numbers to join the conversation. And for those of you out of the country, you can join us on +231 880-500-104, +231 86500-104. Let's take the first question. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead. Let's hear you. No time for introduction today.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel, calling from Shoe Factory Bell. Oliver Carr, I want to say thank you so much. Yesterday I listened to you, and even the question you asked the SG, and because there are so many women going in our country, even when we are about to say some of these things to them, you will say, oh, because you people are supporting just that, and if the president not doing the right thing, you will support them. Look, this country, some of us, we are praying, and if God knows that we can wake up in the night to pray to God, these guys will be exposed. Thank you for the show.
Let's take the other person. 1 minute, quickly, no time. Hello? Go ahead, let's hear you.
My name is Porter and Masterclass, and I call you from Looking this afternoon.
Well, go ahead, Foley. 1 minute.
Let me firstly extend my warmest appreciation to you both for the splendid explanation. The fight is clear. There is no more argument. So they believe there are 21 evil political strategies that using misinformation and propaganda to instill fear within the public, then our people can no longer pay attention to any development. It is not the first time. We are all in this country. We all know about the 16 billion propaganda. We all know about the 25 billion propaganda. We all know about the president when I go far propaganda. So this is just another propaganda stunt. But God, thank you. And like you said earlier, those guys in the security sector at times got to be very swift when it comes to information dissemination. You cannot keep certain information out. Oliver and Elsa, let our people be informed. And to our people, we want to show you that the government is doing everything possible to protect lives and property. They are just trying to make you afraid. They don't want. Actually, the true intent of this propaganda, Oliver, is our international partners and friends should not be here for the bicentennial program, which will be next year. That is the tactic to create fear, to create pandemonium, to instill fear in our people.
Okay.
Leave in I just country. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll leave you and take this person. 1 minute. Quickly.
No.
Let's hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I want for us to do is that
you didn't call your name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first of all, you keep it on the land too much, and other people got to contribute also.
You your time.
We have a social media. We're supposed to have a social media law. People spreading misinformation, so how law in order to work correct them, to bring them to check-in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying we have to go in our country to have it.
Okay.
People can just spread false information and just go free. I think we need to start looking at that.
You made a lot of sense as well. Let's leave you and take this question. 1 minute. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is David King, the national co-chair.
David, no time for intro. Go ahead. We got our guest.
Yeah, you see, KOK, let me get straight to the point. Here, you see, this is what we've been saying to the people, our detractor. Because some of these things are happening, even in America, that have all of the sophistication. At times, people do hate killing. People kill people in America. Sometimes they take 30 years, sometimes they take 35 years. Some people even discover those that kill those people. But for people to take something like a toxic body from somewhere and post it on Facebook, go ahead and make it good for original offender to have come to the public and clear the airway that the body that you see training on Facebook is not the body of Orito. They told the lyric that sent the directed body and they have buried that woman whom the mafia or they try to describe that so that people can get a general picture of what people been talking about to not be the one people are sending out there. Somebody is showing it, making it look that people somebody play, making our people even that want to come to La Pure for vacation.
Okay. Thank you.
They are not telling us that they can't come to La Pure.
Thank
so
you.
That is wrong.
Thank you. We'll leave you and take the person. 1 minute. Go ahead. All right. So we will take the last 5 calls. We will squeeze in the last 5 calls and we call it a day on this topic. This person. Hello. 1 minute.
Thank you. Let me say good evening to you. Good evening to Alexa.
4 more after you. Go ahead.
This is Hussein Kew, and I'm calling from the Script 2 in Jacobtown.
Go ahead, Hussein.
Thank you for the topic on the discussion. Okay, it is true that I came all over the place. But one thing that I'm noticing is that people being very unfair to the country.
Oh, yeah?
Regardless of our differences with government. I followed the acting Secretary General of the PLP. His story tell on. He shot himself in the legs and later on told the public that he was shot by men. It's very sad to bring this country black. For some of us, we will be opposition, but we engage government constructively. You bring my brother black today, it is not just we are. They're going to accept every one of us. You understand? They agree that the security sector is challenged. But some of those things that are country, it is not because the government is not working. But people plan to bring this country black. We will not support this kind of act.
Okay.
Anything that is not of comfort, we will condemn it seriously. Our recommendation will recommend the government. So those who are involved, please stop doing these things because it affects our country English.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll leave you and take this person. Hello. 1 minute.
Hello?
Go ahead. Let's hear you. 1 minute.
Thank you, Karen. This is Washington Swoop. I call from DC.
Go ahead, Washington. We take 3 more after you quickly. Cruzo is our guest ready to bring our guest in.
What I want to say is that those individuals who don't want to go to the police for an investigation, the police should get their time and they can provide themselves, let them be declared most wanted. Because if you allow people to just come up with false information and go free, others will be encouraged to do so. So let the police declare them more wanted. Even Liberian know them, whatever community will be, they will be in. People will still see them and call security on them. But they shouldn't go free. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good point as well. Let's leave you and take this question. Hello, we'll take 2 after you. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, I'm actually calling from
Logintown, go ahead, Jaron.
If you opposition on plan, it can't work. They both make it with a stop on the feeding to call. Our children where they stand again and can't confess because it's scary.
Wow.
So we have to stand with our government. For the government, we the youth for looking down for the government opposition can do that thing.
We leave you right there. Let's take politics out of this. Hello, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
1 minute.
This is Jeff who's going to go down.
You are the second to the last. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, yes. Tell me that protocol on air, make it clear. A total as a PhD officer by the knowledge. We are going to shake the foot of the people in the country and say, I just stand for the body, and we have to wear the body, carry it, so it's the foot of the people all in language. I study. I do I see the picture for the place. The body, for the body.
You said PSU officer. Can you identify? Can you identify him? Do you know his name?
I know it too good. We too good. Share the photo of the people yesterday. People say for the body, so we just put the body. Share the photo of the people out in language yesterday. We don't come for. And you must be acting yesterday. And on a body thing. Yeah. Come on, the future of the officer. Share the photo of the people yesterday.
Okay. Thank you very much. We leave you right there. Let's leave you and keep taking some of our calls until our guest is in studio. Honorable Summer Jackson is our guest, and we're going to have him here to talk series of issues. This person, hello, 1 minute.
Hello, KOK. I say B2 and John calling from Two Comedy Dryland.
Go ahead. I said 1 minute.
Thank you, Khan. Thank you for the topic on the discussion. I like to say those people who call themselves leader want to decide over the bill and see them to be a person. I can always say this: a person that we are, who we get that can represent this country, no one can answer that question. So we did not support any other act like this when we are in that power. For each time, is you people who are straight to be the one that calming people down. But those people who call themselves leader want to lead this country, we're not seeing a competent to deal. So thank you, Khan, for the show.
We leave you and take this person. 1 minute. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Hello, Khan.
Go ahead, sir. Let's hear you. Quickly.
I'm Angeline. We are the man saying calling from Broadway, Pacocono.
Go ahead, Angeline. Let's hear you.
Yes. Khan, we already know these people spend a lot of money to tarnish the reputation of this government and to make the country to look ugly. So for me, I want to say the police, like normal day they used to have police reports. If they will be movely, they can have it on all the radio stations. They shouldn't wait for things to intensify before they come up to make the public to understand what's going on.
Okay.
Because you know, like, they have to understand when you say this, people hearing it, last minute of time before police director say this, people will say no, maybe they're just pretending. Even though other people will hear in the fact. But let them come on every time to be giving people the information. But body on the fire, you can't on the air all this body was the score and so. Let people be aware. Let police be on top of the game.
Okay.
We're begging them, please.
Thank you. We'll leave you right there. We have 2 minute calls, but we already have our guest in studio, so we're going to take this quick musical break. It is a song done by President Weah. He calls this one "Happy Birthday" to you. Since tomorrow is his birthday, we are playing his own song as a pre-birthday treat to the Liberian president. Let's take a break to be right back.
It's a birthday. Jump around and have a good time. Joe, Rastafari. Yeah, me know. Not just if you're selling right now. They probably back. Gonna run, pam. It's a birthday time. Viva! Joe, Rastafari. Yeah, man.
Happy birthday to you.
We gonna celebrate.
Happy birthday to you.
We gonna have a good time.
Happy birthday to you, dear.
We gonna party.
Happy birthday to you.
I wish you well.
Happy birthday to you.
We coming again.
Happy birthday to you.
I wish you well.
Happy birthday to you, dear.
gonna run, pam, pam, pam.
Happy birthday.
Yes, I are. Look at you. Come let me jump up around and we run, pam, 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 for your birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Come back again. Come let me jump up around and we run, pam, 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 for your birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I know you feeling irate, so we gonna run, pam, pam, celebrate and have a good time all night long. Happy birthday to you. I wish you well. Come let me jump up around and we run, pam, 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 for your birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Come back again. Come let me jump up around and we run, pam, 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 for your birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
We gonna celebrate.
Happy birthday to you.
We gonna run, pam, pam.
Happy birthday to you, dear.
I wish you well.
Happy birthday to you.
Tell me again.
Happy birthday to you.
I know you're feeling irate.
Happy birthday.
Okay, so welcome back to the program Freedom Hub on 87.9. My name is Khan Oliver Khan. Princess Alexa Vanja Colley is equally here today. And our guest is Honorable Samuel Jackson, a Liberian economist, very experienced in the economic area of our country and the world over. And today he's here to talk more about contemporary political stuff in Liberia with specific reference to the economy. At the same time, we're going to be looking into what is happening in the diaspora with both the Liberian government and the opposition community, trying to get the support of the international partners through their separate lobbying, scheme across the world. So it is our honor to welcome him for the second time on our platform, Freedom Hub. Honorable Jackson, welcome and good evening.
Thank you very much, Oliver, and thank you very much, my dear sister. I'm very, very pleased to be here today. The last time it was like a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just came back from traveling, and I'm here for the next 40 days to complete my urban consultancy, which is a requirement for Master of Science degree in Urban Economics from the London School of Economics. So
You're still going to school?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And next year too, I will be doing some other courses, some other places too. So
Wow.
I'm just like I just like studying. I like scholarship. I like knowledge. I like reading.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a book, as you know, Rich Land, Poor Country, almost 600 pages. Then I wrote another one during the COVID called How a Pathogen Ruled the World. A little microscopic virus has wrought so much havoc on the global economy.
Mm-hmm.
And that book was about telling African countries what to expect and how to prepare a forceful response to COVID. And COVID is apparently lingering. Okay, the United States, the great United States hasn't gotten under control. About 2,000 people dying every day.
Mm-hmm.
We are very, very blessed that we live in a part of Africa where it does appear, I don't know what the scientific basis is, but COVID is now ravaging West Africa as it is in North America and other countries like South Africa. So we're very, very blessed. But I'm glad to be back home and glad to be on your platform.
Mm-hmm. You're back in Liberia at a time where, it is very rough on all of the different fronts. The government is having some busy time wanting to bring the support of the international community to country. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, at a certain point in time, the Minister of Information was able to join in the U.S. To lobby with the United States government to solidify the ties between Liberia and the U.S. At the same time, information came out where the opposition community equally, went to the U.S. with a deal to have Alan White and the rest of the guys represent Chris Smith to enforce the issue of war crimes court in Liberia, and to press for sanctions and other stuff, just in case that we as administration will renege on having the court established. Where do you stand on those issues?
I think what they're engaging was pretty much treacherous or treasonous.
Okay.
Yeah, borders on treason, because this is an anti-Liberia lobby. It's not an anti-President Weah lobby.
They said they want a court to be established, war crimes court.
But you see, the thing is, you can decide to put in the fundamentals of doing a war crimes court. You don't have to go lobby in Washington D.C. to get that done, right? The opposition. The reason why I left the opposition, I was just lingering around with them to try to find exactly where they were going. Remember when I came here the last time, I told you that they were not united. They were disheveled, and they were unpatriotic, and they didn't have the interest of the country at heart. This is a clear manifestation of that. Because see, we have a democracy, a functioning democracy, as flawed as it might be. It's a functioning democracy.
Okay.
We have political parties. We have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. People engage in protest. So if the political parties in this country feel they aggrieve, we have the foundations of democracy, which is our representative democracy.
Okay.
It to call upon
your
lawmakers and to make a case for your lawmakers. But if you don't have that capacity to make the case for your lawmakers, it means that you don't have any constituency within the country. So what you're looking for now is the United States of America to make a case for you to undermine democracy and to undermine the ruling administration. And to me, that is very unpatriotic. That is, it borders on treason. And there should be an investigation into.
You think it's treasonous?
Absolutely. This is treason. And let me tell you something. We already have in our history.
How can that be compared to treason when they're not calling for the president to be removed?
Because treason is when you commit, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm using the word very loosely, but I know that they are traitors. They are basically against that. It's an anti-Liberia lobby against the interests of the country.
Okay.
So the government of Liberia is flawed in many respects. And I mean, I have giving my views on some of the objectively on what's going on in the country. Okay, but and no government is perfect. I mean, the previous administration, 66 out of 68 concession agreements were deemed fraudulent or illegal. Okay, but if you look at the basis for the lobby to establish a war crimes court, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president of this country for 12 years. The TRC, if you remember, recommended that she be banned from politics for 30 years. She went and participated in the election. She won the election. And then also, Prince Johnson has been supporting Madam Sirleaf in 2 elections.
Okay.
They made no efforts to extract Prince Johnson from the political process. But because Prince Johnson is now supporting George Weah, and they apparently don't have the constituency within the political configuration to remove Mr. President by election, then they're using the second best approach, which is to hop on this fake war crimes agenda and get allies within the United States of America to support that agenda, to make the government unpopular, so as to have some, maybe a so-called popular uprising or insurrection, because that is what it's going to boil down to.
You sure about that?
Yeah, because you see, the thing is, we saw that with the ACDL in the 1980s in the United States of America, right?
Okay.
Where Tom Wayu, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Emma Sawyer, and others, and Patrick, I forgot his last name, Patrick Sayer, they formed this Association for Constitutional Democracy. They formed this Association for Constitutional Democracy in Liberia. This is the same organization that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says she donated $10,000 for humanitarian purposes.
Okay.
And the AC deal did not engage in any humanitarian purposes. But what it did was metamorphose into the National Patriotic Front of Liberia.
Okay.
And if you read my book, from 1985, after the Kuompa invasion, there was a concerted effort by people from the pre-1980 oligarchy, with some small elements within the progressive forces, to undermine the Dole regime.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing that in a democratic fashion, they resorted to force of arms. They began recruiting young men and women who in 1985 were pushed out of Liberia
Mm-hmm.
by Samuel Doe with the strong force that was used to root out people who were sympathetic to Kuompa.
Okay.
So when these mostly Giro minor
Mm-hmm.
boys and girls left Liberia and went to the neighboring countries, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the other opportunists within the pre-1980 oligarchy and the neocons, what they did was they started to do what? They started to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
They started to raise money,
Mhm.
and they started this organization that on the surface appeared innocuous, but has some very nefarious objectives.
So you think the current CPP they're on similar trend?
Of course, because you see, the thing is, if you want to remove George, Mr. President, from power,
Uh-huh.
you need to have an agenda. You need to have a clear agenda that distinguishes you in terms of the economic development policy, social welfare policy, Liberian economic empowerment, gender equality, and those kind of high value and moral issues that are necessary, right?
Okay.
This is what you take to the people. But if I were to ask you, Oliver, now, what do you identify Mr. Cummings with as one issue, which is an overarching issue that he preaches? You can't tell me that. What do you identify Mr. Cummings with? They call him Mr. Clean Hands. What does that really mean, right?
Mhm.
If you look at my own uncle, Uncle Joe Boyka, what do you characterize Mr. Boyka? What is he? I mean, his whole persona. What does he represent, and what is he trying to change in Liberia? How is he articulating that? If you look at my friend Bernard Ayure, what is he trying to accomplish? Senator Yomli Kang has been senator for one term, 9 years.
Mhm.
What bill did she proffer that have improved the lives of the Liberian people? You can't really see that.
Mhm.
Okay, so you see, politics is about competing ideas. It is not just about removing the president for the removal of the president. You need to have some clear ideas that resonate with the Liberian people. And unfortunately, they don't have any idea that resonates with Liberian people. So if you look at the configuration today, okay, you see what is happening there. You see that people are using people within the on social media, okay, to bash other.
We're gonna go there.
Yeah. But I'm saying, but just look at the cause and effect. Okay, Sylvester Grisby, who does he represent? He doesn't represent a constituency in this country. So he goes out there and somebody gives him $180,000. You saw my friend Judy Wisner, Judy Wisner, when he was asked on Spoon TV, who are the members of this organization, okay, and how did they raise $180,000? He said hundreds, thousands of people got together and raised this money. That is complete and patent nonsense, because you didn't hear about this group. You didn't hear about them raising any funds. You don't know what is their status in terms of whether in the United States they are a 501c3 organization, whether in Liberia they are a non-profit, whether they're attached to a political party. All of a sudden, you see a mushrooming, or rather growth of this organization. And what they did, they got $180,000. And I see that my friend Amin Modad has what I should say, remove himself from that. He's already not denounced them, but he removed himself from that. He said that he has nothing to do with it. I also see the ALP, but Omen Joe Barker hasn't done that.
Okay.
And Mr. Cummings hasn't done that. So I think the people of Liberia should demand an investigation into the activities of this organization that is a pure anti-Liberian lobby in the United States. We want to know who they are, what they represent, and what are their aims and objectives, long-term aims and objectives, is extremely important. And I believe they are traitors.
Okay, you believe they are traitors. Why they're in the U.S. lobbying against the country, according to what you said, they're on their anti-lobby spree. The government too is in America, through their ministers lobbying as well, for the support of the international community. Now, some folks are arguing that they're not meeting the kind of people they're supposed to meet. What do you identify in that situation? Do you trust that what they're into can undo what the CPP is trying to do in the United States? We need your fair opinion on that.
I'll be very frank with you. Anytime you meet a senator at any level in the United States of America, that is progress on any level. Okay. Especially a man like Lindsey Graham, who happens to be a senator, very influential senator, right?
People are arguing that Graham is an opposition senator in the United States. Yeah. He's a Republican. The current government in the U.S. is a Democrat government. Yeah. The Liberian government goes to the United States instead of lobbying with United States congressmen who are from the Democrat Party. They are there with the opposition. It's like you come into Liberia to lobby with the Liberian government, and you are dealing with Delon and Yombly instead of Sir Joseph and Thomas Falah.
But this is patent nonsense, because in terms of in the United States of America, this is true. What is have true democracy? Appropriations have to be bipartisan, right? In terms of any money for foreign aid, anything like Millennium Challenge or what have you, it has to be voted by a bipartisan legislature. Okay, because one party alone cannot pass legislation. So if the government of Liberia believes that they need to make friends on both sides of the aisle, I think it's a very important thing. Okay, but the fact that they met Ted Cruz, a former presidential candidate, hopeful, right? And to me, you make friends on all sides. Look, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, talks to both sides. The Israeli government talks to both sides. The Ghanaian government talks to both sides. So you cannot tell me that because somebody is out of power, and politics is dynamic, right? So you make friends for today, tomorrow, and into the future, right? So it's patent nonsense for some political neophyte to say that this is not money well spent when you're meeting somebody like a Ted Cruz or Lindsey Graham on their turf in the Capitol. Okay, to me, that is progress. And you see, the opposition, for lack of an agenda, for lack of something substantial to talk about, anything that anyone does will be caricature. Look at my very, very good friend, Henry Costa. He got on his platform one day, and he said that there was no way that President Weah was going to meet Macron. And he said that he would leave his platform. And what happened? President Weah not only met Macron, but President Macron made some commitments to government of Liberia. Did Henry Costa leave his platform? Of course not. So they're always changing the goalpost. They said, first of all, there were going to be sanctions on Liberia in July. They were trying to put the Magnitsky Act, on Liberian government officials. That didn't happen. They said that certain senators, certain officials of government couldn't enter the United States. They entered the United States. Now they're changing the goalpost. Look, I'd rather have a discussion on the fundamental and the foundations of democracy that will improve the lives of Liberian people. An economic agenda. What is the economic development philosophy of Mr. Cummings, for example? What does Mr. Benedict Uri believe in as an overarching reason for him wanting to be president or wanting access to power? What Ms. Yombly Kanka want to do? What does Darius Dillon, my very good friend, who just a senator, to bring? How many bills has he proffered since he became senator? What is he doing about issues like economic empowerment for Liberians? What is he doing about supporting the government's efforts on COVID-19, and all of these things? So when you don't have an agenda, when you don't have substance, then you deal with those issues that are totally irrelevant, and that's what the opposition political party is doing.
You talk about progress on the part of the Liberian government's team to the U.S. now. How soon do you think what they're into there will start to showcase? Because we've gone a little over 3 years, perhaps the 4th year is about to end. We'll only be left with 2 years. Next year is the eve of the elections. 2023 is election year. Do you think there will be results from the current trip they're on?
But first of all, let's just analyze what you're trying to say. What is the issue as it exists? Not the perception of what the opposition is thinking, right? There is no issue between the United States of America and the government of Liberia.
Why is the government lobbying there?
Because you have to constantly lobby to improve relations. This is an ongoing process. But let me explain something to you. The State Department Human Rights Report that everybody always talk about, right? If you read the State Department Human Rights Report from 1955 with the plot that failed,
okay.
If you read the State Department reports from the rice riots, from the coup in 1980, if you read the State Department Human Rights Reports on the Ellen Johnson salute of the 12 years, you will see in some time America also said Liberia was unsafe. This is routine. Okay, you talk about
it's not unique to the we as government.
But let's compare the State Department Human Rights Reports of for the 12 years of the Ellen administration and the 3 years of the year administration. Let's compare and contrast that, right? And let's look at the diplomatic relationship between Liberia. The U.S. embassy is still very functional here. The ambassador, okay, just made a statement about the 70% theft of electricity in the country. That's an engagement. Okay, the USAID here is functional. They're doing a lot of programs here. UNDP, the other international agencies are here. So what has really changed? What has really changed in terms of the relationship, in terms of U.S. foreign aid to Liberia, and as all foreign aid to a lot of countries, okay, it's been reduced because of the effects of COVID and the economic conditions in the world today. It has nothing to do with what President Weah is doing. Yes, in certain senators, like Representative like Chris Smith, they may have some animus against this government,
okay,
because they have been actively lobbied to by the anti-Liberia lobby. Okay. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
So it is always good, and I'm not saying the government is perfect. The government has a lot of flaws.
Okay,
they did some things that they should not have done, and they have not taken some action that they should take. But if you want to contrast them and the opposition, it's clear that the government in power is doing significantly better than the potential of the CPP combined. Because you see, even they couldn't even fashion a 16-page document, initial the pages, and get it right.
We will get there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but look at their missteps. Look at what they're trying to accomplish. They have not been able to accomplish. Look at the unity in the group. They're a disheveled opposition. They're rudderless. They don't have any agenda.
Okay,
and that's why I left them.
Okay, that's why you left them. Now, while you were away, briefly, the Minister of Finance, was able to appear at SEAL. I know you know SEAL very well.
Oh yeah.
And it was at that forum where I was a co-moderator, where he made it clear that Liberia is making some significant progress in terms of, moving towards macroeconomic stability,
right,
with the issue of inflation coming to a single digit, leaving double digit to a single digit. Now, all of what he said are things that people in the opposition will consider, theoretical statistics that got no bearings on the livelihood of the people of Liberia. As an experienced economist and somebody who is well knowledgeable in the economic status of our country, what's your fair appreciation of the whole situation?
Okay, clearly in the beginning of the administration there were missteps.
Okay,
a lot of mistakes that were made. Okay,
you want to reference them?
Look, I look at the way the narrative on the 16 billion. Okay, I'm not saying guilty or not guilty, but the narrative on that. I saw also the narrative on the 25 million.
Okay,
so those were the narrative in terms of how they managed the PR on those. They didn't do it well.
Sure.
Okay, they made a mistake with the engagement with the when the 9 embassies signed that letter against the Liberian government, right? But those were teething pains and growing pains for a new government in power that had never been in power before. So these were teething pains. But if you look at year number 3, right? You look at macroeconomic stability in terms of inflation that was going almost like 40% in 2018 and 2019 down to like single digit today.
Sure.
If you look at the liquidity situation in the bank, where you couldn't go to the bank and get any money, now the liquidity situation is improved. Okay.
Sure.
And also because of the harmonization, there was some small degree of reduction. Okay, some people say significant in terms of the public wage bill.
Okay,
that came from $320 million to $297 million. Okay, now, and if you look at the security of the state, despite all of the negative, manipulation, machination by the opposition, where they're making all these things, this is the first time in 18 years where the government of Liberia is totally responsible for its own security.
No OMIL.
No OMIL, no ECOMIL, no ECOMOG, nothing, right? So for an African government coming out of war, a post-war fragile nation, to be able to achieve that, to have the degree of stability and the peace and safety that we have, is something that to be commended.
Okay,
and it's not perfect. Okay, the police sometimes do some things that are not correct. Okay, and the police don't always respond in the way they're supposed to respond. And we still have issues of rule of law in the country because this is a country fundamentally flawed in terms of its institutions.
Okay,
but they've been that way since 1847. Okay, you have issues with the rule of law on Ellen. You had it on a Talbot, you had it on a Doe, you had it on a Tubman, and the previous presidents before that. And if you read my book, you will see that this is a nation of chaos. A nation of 135 wars were fought in this country.
Wow.
Of course, the last one before the 1989 was in 1930, 1935 with the Juanimlo War. Okay. In 1915, 75 crew chiefs were executed by Daniel E. Howard. So this is not a country that has been at total peace for 174 years.
Okay.
It's always chasm. You got to read George Keir's book. Talks about the talks and poll in this country. This is not a perfect country, and let's not make any pretense that this is a perfect country. Okay, but all of us have to put hands together. One of the problems I have with the opposition is that they don't want to be able, they not want to be seen as facilitating improving the lives of Liberian people. They want to undermine that so they can have something to talk about. That's not what an opposition does. What an opposition does is the opposition collaborates with the government in power, right, in a democracy, and make laws and make proposals and recommendations to improve the lives of the people. That's how what you do for your district, for example, as a representative or as a senator or as a political party in opposition. What you do for people is what attracts them to you. So what is the attraction for people supporting the CPP? What is the CPP doing for the Liberian people? They don't have a think tank. They don't have a feeding center. And of course, they would say the CDC didn't have these. True, the CDC didn't have them, but the CDC is in power today. So you can answer because the CDC didn't have a think tank, they didn't have a feeding center, they didn't have a social welfare policy and all of that. So we're not going to have it too. Okay, so that is errant nonsense.
Okay,
you follow me, right? So if you're really serious about democracy, improving the lives of the people, you should be working hand in hand with the government and for the people of Alberta to see you doing something that is in their interest, which should be an attraction and a draw to give you a constituency to bring you to power eventually.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. But if you're not doing that, and you see Councillor Toole, making disparaging remarks against people within an alliance, why would you be in bed when you call Bernard you're a reckless criminal and you're in bed with him?
That's going to be the last line we're going to drag before we run to
No,
our
but I'm
callers.
saying, but see, the thing is, these are all interconnected.
Sure.
But they're all tissues, right? They are connective tissues and all of the things I'm saying. Okay? So I told you they were disheveled. When I came here, these are the words I used.
Oh, sure.
I thought they were not united. And I told you they did not have an agenda.
Okay.
And the way that they're moving, it tells me that they are looking for naked power. And when you're looking for naked power, you fight amongst yourselves. You saw what happened with NPFL and then IMPFL, ULIMO J, ULIMO K.
Too many breakaway factions.
Okay? It happens, okay? You saw They all kinds of different facts. The factualization of politics in Liberia is nothing new. Okay, it's something that is part of the body politic, part of the political economy.
Okay, all right. So you just enter the country, and Alexa is going to draw you through.
You guys are ready for me.
Well, I mean, of recent, right? Or this is like an issue that everyone right now is battling in the country, and that is the issue of alleged mysterious killings right now in the country. So for days now, we've seen several information on the social media. We've seen different pictures, and a lot of people have called on different platforms to really talk about the issue of mysterious killings in the country. So number one, I would like to know exactly your take on what you make of the information circulating the country right now.
But first of all, let me just be very clear. I express my deepest sympathy and condolences to anybody who met the untimely demise. Okay, either natural death or by the hands of somebody else. What is lacking in all of this is institutions that are geared to provide peace and stability to the country.
Okay.
The narrative. Okay. The narrative that was being led by the opposition was that the government was killing people ritualistically. That is the narrative. That was the narrative they tried to push, right? The government, on the other hand, came up with their narrative and said people are dying and the people cannot afford to bury them, and they're putting them outside. Those are two bad narratives, extremely poor narratives coming from both sides. I'll be very frank with you. I'm not going to be here and say what people were saying yesterday, that people can't afford to bury their people. So they put that the Liberians will not allow. I'll be very frank with you, and I don't care what anybody thinks about what I'm saying. Liberians will not take their loved ones, put them out there for dogs and hyenas and crows to eat the dead bodies. Okay, that's not who we are. Okay, so I don't believe that. Okay, I don't also believe that people in the government who I know will be engaging in ritualistic killing to advance their political or economic aims.
Then what then do we have on our plate?
So those two narratives, they are false narratives. Okay, so something is going on in the country, as in most countries in the world, where there's dysfunction, where there's crime. You have almost 200,000 Zogos in this country, victims of the war, young men and women, right, who were given drugs to fight a war. And the DDRR process, the disarmament, demobilization, what do you call it, rehabilitation, reintegration,
resettlement.
They did the disarmament and the demobilization.
Okay.
But the rehabilitation and the reintegration were very, very flawed. Okay. That didn't happen. They gave them 3 days of training, they gave them some money, and they went out on their own. And they have not been rehabilitated, they have not been reintegrated. So every single community in this country, and I'm very shocked when I went to Buchanan, I saw Zogos, but I don't want to call them Zogos, I saw drug addicts, okay, people with serious substance abuse problems.
As far as River G.
Oh, exactly, okay. So the insecurity from that is a problem that we all need to solve.
Okay.
Government, society, stakeholders, everybody need to solve that. And also we have, because of the level of poverty in this country, and mass poverty by itself, okay, is a function of crime. It's a function of dysfunction and poverty.
Okay.
Right? So we're not attacking that enough. So because we're not attacking that enough, we had 12 years to do a lot of things in this country, Oliver. 12 years.
Okay.
$10 billion came into this country from the OECD countries. $10 billion with a B. Over $100 million are put into something called the Liberia Agricultural Sector Investment Plan. All of those failed. We had so-called $16 to $17 billion in foreign direct investments. They did not fundamentally alter the lives of the people in this country, improve the lives of the people in this country. So something is fundamentally wrong with how we run things in this country. So let's be very clear about that. Very clear about that, okay? No government is going to wave a magic wand and all of a sudden, all of the problems of dysfunction, criminality, and all of those things, and insecurity will vanish. So what needs to happen? We need to work assiduously to move that. So yes, we have crime in the country, but you have crime in Chicago.
Okay.
You have crime in LA, you have crime in Johannesburg. You saw what happened the last time when the former president Zuma was taken to jail.
Okay.
You saw the days of rioting in that country.
Sure.
And you see all of this dysfunction. So Liberia has a lot of dysfunction. But it's not it's not the result of ineffective governance by any administration. It's just the way the society is thing. It's just the way the society is changed altogether. So what it means is that in other countries, the churches, the schools, and other institutions come together and to work with the police to have something called community policing, to find whatever resources the police need, to collaborate with the police in order to minimize. You cannot eliminate crime from any country.
Okay.
You can minimize it. Okay.
Well,
And you saw even during Ellington, when you had Isakaba during Ellington, remember the Isakaba boys?
Oh, yeah.
And what happened? There was a terrorist organization that people were cutting, were chopping people. So you see, when people be talking, Oliver, they don't go to history, they don't go to their background, they don't go to nothing. They just talk because they want to talk, because they have a mouth to talk. They don't do anything. They don't do any analysis. They don't do any research. And I'm a research economist. If I open my mouth, I have to have data. And that data must prove or disprove something in my mind.
Okay.
Some hypothesis or some position that I have. So what the opposition been trying to do is to taint the government with a broad brush, not just of corruption, but of mass killings, extrajudicial killings, and all of the negative things there, because they don't have an agenda.
Don't you think that the government too is aiding them in doing that? With the poor information dissemination mechanism.
But absolutely, the government information dissemination has always been a problem. It's always been a problem, and more of a problem now because the government is attacked more. So they need to have a more robust communication strategy. Okay, Ellen communication strategy was just to pay people off. Okay, to newspaper reporters, journalists and stuff, they were on her payroll.
I mean, the Ellen boys will come after you.
I'm not worried about that. They're little kids, man. I'm not worried about them. Man. I've been around for a long time. I mean, I'm a people. I have a leather jacket on about it. They don't bother me.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if this will be my last question, but you said something about the fight of two narratives, and that is from the national police and the rest of the folks.
Yeah, exactly.
But then one thing we made very clear is the fight of discouraging misinformation in our society right now. And this part of person's political affiliation is also important to do away with politics when we're discussing mysterious killing. But there is an issue of one political party that is in the opposition right now, even though you spoke about the opposition, that is from the People's Liberation Party, the SG, the Secretary General. So there was a report yesterday, and the IG of police equally mentioned that there was something circulating the internet, and that was about the People's Liberation Party Secretary General saying, well, he was shot by this and shot by that. But later on, according to the report, this is something that happened as one of the factors of misinformation. So he unintentionally shot himself. So I would like to know exactly, as one of the newest political parties within the opposition community, so what would you like to say about this People's Liberation Party Secretary General issue?
Okay, look, first of all, anybody who mistakenly shoots himself shouldn't have a firearm. Because, I was in the military, so we know the principles of firearm, okay? And you keep the gun muff, or the muzzle, you keep it away from you, away from people. Okay, so apparently he shot himself. It was a shame, and he engaged in dysfunction criminality. And I think he should be prosecuted. Okay, and of course, I think the PLP took the right position by removing him from being Secretary General. You can't have an individual like that who is dishonest, who tried to undermine the peace and stability in the country as Secretary General. So those are some of the things the opposition do to malign the government in power, and it hurts not only the government, but it hurts the country. It hurts the country. That's why I refer to those people who are spending $180,000 there in an anti-Liberia lobby Washington as traitors, because whatever sanctions that they are pushing to be imposed on the Liberian government, people in government at the top level that they're going after, they're not going to suffer. It is the people within 70% of the people in Monrovia live in slums. So the people in the slums and the people in the poor rural villages, they're the ones that will suffer. So these are people, I said, this borders on treason, what they're trying to accomplish by lobbying against the people of Liberia, not the government of Liberia. They're lobbying against the people of Liberia. And they should be ashamed of themselves. So that's what I said. I like the fact that Amin Modad has made a statement, disassociated himself from that. And I know the ALP has, but Mr. Cummings and Uncle Joe Boyka, both the top leading candidates within the CPP, they haven't done that. And we should force them to disassociate and disband that organization, which is an anti-Liberia lobby.
Okay. Now, I don't know why you keep leaving Liberia and returning, within a short period. But while you were away, the CPP, I don't know if it is safe to say the CPP was able to blow into flames.
Imploded.
At the moment,
yeah, it imploded.
At the moment, we're having a very, troublesome situation with one constituent political party, members insulting the other.
Oh, yeah.
It has been a serious, tense battle between the All Liberian Party of Benana Yure with their allies, the Unity Party, against the Alternative National Congress of Alexander Cummings. The Liberty Party, as a constituent political institution all by herself, is equally having some internal wranglings with the Musability factor one side and the Yombli Kanga Lawrence team the other way around. What is your take? Because you've been, to a greater extent, in some level of proximity with these people.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best thing? Are Liberians, there are Liberians who are of the opinion that this is the breaking point.
Okay.
Do you think there's still more time for these guys to go and reconsolidate? Do you think there is going to be that period? Do you think it is the melting point? What is it from your angle?
Okay, look, let's be very clear. The CDC should not look at this unity within the CPP as a strategy.
Okay.
Right? They should have a strong agenda. They should have a strong campaign team. They should do whatever it takes to project positive image of the government out there. They should not be depending upon the implosion of the CPP. Okay. But having said that, here are some of the things I know. If you remember when I was here the last time, we talked about my association with the opposition, not the CPP. And I told you very clearly about the fact that they were disjointed, they were disheveled. Okay. I know for a fact that Cummings and Ure, they despise each other.
You think so?
I know so.
People think they're just on the surface doing that.
No. I know that. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
And I also know that Darius Dillon is trying to push Yombli Kanga for vice president. He told me that. It's Umar. Of course.
Dillon told you.
Dillon told me, of course. Yes.
To push Yombli
to be pushing,
vice president.
Exactly right.
To whom?
Yeah. To Ojo Boyka.
Okay.
And I know for a fact that Musa Ability and Alexander Cummings have a relationship.
Okay.
Musa told me that. Okay.
Wow.
Of course. I'm not. They don't hide things from me.
You could be getting in trouble with people.
No. But they haven't hidden. They haven't hidden that. There's no secret. This isn't when you say it's an open secret. But they told me, and they're not. There was no secret for me to divulge.
Wow.
Okay. There's no secret because this is the agenda. Okay. So Musa Ability is chairman of the Liberty Party, and there's a wing of the Liberty Party that is moving towards
the Cummings
style.
Team.
Okay. And then you have Yombli Kanga and Dillon on the broadcast side.
Okay.
And because Yombli wants to be vice president and Dillon is pushing Yombli to be vice president, right? But Ure also is hoping to be vice president. Okay. So I already knew that intent. That entanglement, one of the reasons why I left them, because I knew that entanglement is combustible and was not going to see the light of day.
You're making some strong revelation. You really want to be vice president? To Joe Boyka.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. In fact, he's one of the major financiers to Joe Boyka. I know that for a fact. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's no secret. It's not hidden. But Cummings also has not hidden his affinity to Musa Hassan Bility.
Okay.
And Musa Hassan Bility is a very, very close friend of mine. Okay, I talk to all of them. They're very close friends of mine. I mean, Euro doesn't talk to me anymore, but that's okay. That's how he is. Okay. But I mean, Dillon and Musa, they talk to me.
Okay.
I had one conversation with Mr. Cummings where I asked him specifically for his economic agenda for the country. He was tongue-tied. He couldn't give it to me. So that is what I knew, that this guy, with all of the success that he's made in the United States.
Wait a minute. You asked Cummings about his economic agenda.
He was tongue-tied.
But there's an individual who argued that he is of the ability to grow the budget from what we have today to $1 billion. So,
okay. Let's be very clear. I worked in corporate America. I never got as far as Mr. Cummings because I didn't stay in America long enough. I came home when I was second vice president of a bank.
Okay.
If I stayed, I would have been way higher than Cummings. So by coming to Liberia, I honor my career path in corporate America, right?
Okay.
But he did extremely well, okay? Compared to any Liberian in terms of corporate America. But this is what he believes. He believes the presidency is a trophy for him. It's a trophy. It's an entitlement because he made all this progress in the United States. He has all this money. And this is something to cap off his career, his life. And that's the mistake he's making.
A trophy retirement.
No, not retirement. It's something like a cap. You know, like when you go to school, you have a capstone course, you pass that capstone course, then you graduate, right?
Okay.
So it's like something that he was self-actualized by being president of Liberia.
Wow.
And I also think Mr. Cummings has a small man syndrome, the Napoleonic complex. You know, small people, short people, they have this inflated, thing of themselves.
Oh, I mean,
I believe that.
You want to say overly ambitious?
Yeah, blind ambition. Blind ambition. Because look, here is a man who never participated in any
political.
Yeah, not as a student leader, not on the Palava Hall, not on a soup, not on nothing, And when he was working with Coca-Cola, okay, he had the opportunity when Liberians were in refugee camps to do that. He could have, or when things were going badly in Liberia during the war, or even during the early administration. During the early administration, he flew here a few times with his private jet to come and hang out with Ellen.
Okay.
To support Ellen's causes. Okay. So I'm saying, so he never really supported any. He never had a position on any issue that was important to the country.
Non-political involvement.
All of a sudden, instead of trying to rise through the ranks, he wants to be president. And when he came in 2016, which is what how many years ago? Or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
If he had gone to say let me become a representative, a senator, let me get my feet wet, let people get to know me, and also if he had also not use the foundation for political purposes, but if he had created jobs, for example, like if he had a whole private sector push, right? For example, he had expanded Coca-Cola operations in Liberia.
Okay,
that has been done now under this administration. They having a mechanized bottling plant, canning plant. You're aware of that? It's going on, right? If he had created, maybe open up a rice milling. A rice milling company were bagging some rice, sugar cane. He was making some sugar, up in in Maryland where he's from. He had put up a sugar factory, right? And he and he had really gotten to know the people. But for him to come and use the Cummings Foundation as the platform for political power, see, that is the mistake he's made. And if you see the cantankerous relationship and the people going against him, because he's a neophyte, he's a newcomer, right? This is a newcomer with a whole lot of money. They look at him like a carpetbagger.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they look at him as. He is, by all serious definition of the word, he's a carpetbagger.
You're referring to Cummings.
Excuse me. Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons Cummings, is always bent on wanting to be president. According to me, according to him, is because, in his opinion, to make a difference in this country, to actually make a serious impact in the lives of Liberians, you should serve from the top.
That's
and
not
not
true.
one ornament.
That's not true. If you look at people in business in this country who making a lot of impact in the lives of people, look at Samuel Fremont. Okay, he wants to be president, but he has a business, right?
Okay.
Look at Sherry Abdallah with Conex. Look at Musa Ability with his Shrimex. Okay. Look at other people who have done things in this country. People look at them. Look at Shaka Touré, for example. Look at the Lebanese in this country, right? But so they are integrated within the political economy of this country. They're doing things to improve the lives of people by creating jobs, investments, and things of that nature. But Mr. Cummings came up with a foundation, and the foundation, which is a 50, I believe is a nonprofit organization. The aim and objective is to solve social problems, but he's using it as a platform. And it may even be illegal. I'm not a lawyer, but I say it may. Okay. So if you're using that foundation as a platform for political power, that's problematic.
Okay.
That's problematic. Extremely problematic.
Just one last question before we go to Oliver and the lines as well. You just made mention, that was your revelation earlier on, about Senator Yomblikanga Lawrence wanted to be your vice president, to the former vice president, and Benona Ure as well. So now there has been an issue within the CPP where Alexander B. Cummings, according to them, has altered their framework document, which is, I don't know how far they've gone with that. So on that note, how exactly do you project CPP's ticket against President George Weah 2023?
Well, I think he's going to beat them, but it's not taken for granted. Okay, it's going to be a tough campaign. Okay, but when the dust settles, President Weah will be going for his second term. So we need to start now, today. When you say you have 24 months to October 2023, you don't have 24 months, because what you really have is 1 year, only next year, because January of 2023, right? That's the president's last annual message before the election. So now you must be chronicling progress you made over the last 5 years, right? Because that record is the one that you're going to be you're going to be given to the electorate to vote for you or not. So you don't have 2 years. You only have 1 more year. And that starts now. So you need a strong campaign team. You need a a think tank for the issues, in issue-oriented think tank.
Okay.
Right? Then you need a campaign finance committee that go out there and raise money. Then you need a mobilization, strong mobilization. Okay, where you have a 15-county, 73-district strategy. That's what you need.
Okay.
Okay, you need to do that and do that now.
Okay.
So instead of me, Sam Jackson, coming here and spending 40 days and sitting on, in his apartment and doing his schoolwork, you need to get Sam Jackson to work, not in the government per se, but let's get this campaign going. So I'm very anxious, okay, to have this for the strategic moves that we need to make now to change the narrative, to have the outreach, to raise the money, to do the mobilization, and I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
I'm willing to meet Alex Cummings, Joe Boyka, Benona Ure, and others on the field.
Okay.
I'm willing to debate any economists that they may have on issues of economic development, social welfare policy, and all of that. I'm more than happy. So if they want to have a debate, let's have a debate.
Okay.
Void of personal attacks as they normally do, because as soon as I talk, they start causing mama, they start causing my pa, they start saying I was this, I'm not that, I pregnant that 16-year-old girl, all that kind of thing. I didn't graduate from college, all kind of nonsense. So if you want to have a real debate, okay, I'll sit down right here close to you. I won't touch you, I won't bite you, but we'll debate the issues. And at the end of the day, we'll shake hands and go forward, because it's about Liberia. It's not about us.
Before we go to the lines, Honorable Jackson, with all of this rigmarole in the CPP, what's the prediction? I didn't get that from you in terms of your prediction. Do we expect a CPP of the same 4 constituent political parties, or we should brace ourselves for a breakaway faction like the NPFL and the IMPFL, Unimo K, Unimo J, or whatever. What should we expect?
So, as a strategist for the government, or would be strategist for the government, I'm looking at two extreme scenarios.
Okay.
The one scenario is where Cummings wake up one day and says, like, the best opportunity for me to be president of this country to be second to Joe Boyka. And there's a collaboration at that level.
Okay.
And the probability is with all the bad.
Why do you want to do that?
No, but I'm saying I'm looking at the two extremes. Okay, as a tactician, you have to look at possible scenarios. Okay,
sure.
So you look at various scenarios, right? So I'm looking at one scenario where they fix their flower and they get together. The other scenario is where it's chakla. Okay. So I'm looking at the both scenarios and preparing. I'll be preparing the George Weah election 2023 people for those two scenarios. In either of those scenarios, we can beat those two scenarios. Where the chakla, where they run as independent parties, and where one person comes in the second round and they all rally together, we can beat them if we start a strategy today. So, but those are, let's be very clear. They're fighting now.
Okay.
But they could be friends tomorrow.
Okay.
When they believe there's common interest, right? So no one should say that it's chakla completely.
Okay.
But it's not chakla that the fat lady sings. Okay. So we have to be very mindful of that. So in this conversation I'm having right now, what I'm saying, I'm talking to my colleagues. I'm talking to Moba Molu. I'm talking to Samuel Tua. I'm talking to McGill.
Okay.
I'm talking with the other people in the CDC to look at those two possible scenarios and be prepared with a plan A and a plan B for those two scenarios. But whatever happens, what we need is to do our work, is to have an organization together, put together guidelines, find people, resources, and start a 15-county, 73-district strategy. We need to do that starting yesterday.
Okay. We need to do that, according to him, for those of them who will be in the campaign team of the Weah's presidency for the second term. Join us on this conversation. We want to squeeze in 10 calls. This is, a special edition of Freedom Hub on the eve of the president's birthday. Summer Jackson, an experienced Liberian economist and a political tactician, is our guest right here in studio. We take 10 calls on the lines. 86-500-104 plus 231-86-500-104. The lines for the international callers. And for those of you locally, can join us on 776-104-104, 776-104-104. We take at most 10 calls. Let's begin with this person. Hello?
Good evening, KOK.
Go ahead. 1 minute.
Let me say good evening to the many listeners following the broadcast. However, my name is Mark Doko, and I call you from the office of the Intellectual Alliance along the Defense Freeway.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me use the opportunity to appreciate Samuel Jackson, the well-learned economist and chief statistician. He spoke very eloquent as passionate he was. All of the happenings in our country relative to the economics component, I think he spoke about that. But it will baffle me, like the CPP, all of the ritualistic stuff they talk about, that strategy they have put in place that cannot work. The first thing they did, they raised 18 million against the government to lobby against the government, and that did not work. That did not work. We got the information at the end of time and went to them, talk about it. So they are using another strategy of killing, ritualistic killing, and which is a complete lie. We listened to the police director yesterday on ERBC, and they displayed all the.
Thank you. We'll even take this other caller. Hello, 1 minute.
Yeah, good evening.
1 minute. Let's hear you.
Yeah, let me give also to Mr. Jackson. But I want to know, Mr. Jackson, is he in politics as an elderly man? We as young people will follow some of you people. You want to do that, I admire a lot. You know, up to now, I still admire you. But once upon a time, you bow off somewhere to this government. So I want to know, Mr. Jackson, how consistent are you when it comes to the political spectrum of our country? And then I want to know also, what was the thing you're doing back first that you need to buy more than that they are doing better now, that you now want to become a campaign follower to the CDC?
Thank you. You can ask a question and answer at the same time. Let's take the other person. Hello?
Okay, how you doing?
We are great. 1 minute, Chief.
Yes, thank you. This is Miss I'm calling from Kingsville.
Go ahead.
Let me say hi up to the economists, the world economists in studio. He has said it all. The opposition collaboration party, I don't know, CPP, I don't know, guys, they are very ready to fix, President George Manuel. Because for what I'm seeing, like he said, we have only 1 year to work with now. Within the course of the 1 year, I don't think if it come together or they recognize that differences, they still cannot do, President George comes 2023. Because
okay, thank you. We'll leave you and take this question. Hello?
Yeah, okay, how are you?
Okay, let's leave you and take this other person. Let's leave you and take this person. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello, how are you doing, brother?
We're great. 1 minute, Chief.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to the staff in studio. Actually, I really moved. These are the people who are looking for going. Spoke like a realist and spoke like a person who has passion for the country. My opinion has been June to his book and he talk about. Actually, how can we get a copy because I really have an interest?
Richland people. Richland poor people. Poor country.
Okay, we got it on the net, right?
If you can,
you respond to that. I mean, yeah.
Okay, I want to tell you, thank you. Waiting to see in 2023 because we know the prophecy shall come to pass. Anybody that go against the will of God shall get the wrath of God. Thank you, Archie Newton.
Okay, Archie Newton, Richland poor country. He will respond to that. Let's leave you and take the person. Hello, 1 minute. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Thank you. This is Washington Soul. Remember the response the same thing from this bill.
Go ahead, Washington.
Let me comment the part in studio. One thing he said, and I believe it is true, and the CDC need to strongly work on it is that all those who fighting to be vice chancellor to Joseph Boaka, they are of the belief that if he wins due to his age, they may likely become president only if something happens to him. And don't overlook this. If Kumi tries to be the senator and he may elected, accept that, so that he can, by all means, stay in desperate for the presidency, by all means, so he can extend to the presidency. So the city is very strong to follow a good campaign like the past, so they can work on that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll leave you and take this question and we'll take 4 more. Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, okay, how are you?
Okay, my brother, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. This is Gary, and I'm joining a conversation on the car where I have a question for your senior guest. I listen to him very clearly. How many people lie with power? Because the way he's talking.
Hello, go ahead. Let's take the other person. The first thing you call Austin is in the morning. You don't even know who on the show. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Okay. This is Hussein Kew, and I'm calling from the street 2 in Jacob.
Go ahead, Hussein.
Thank you to your field guest. And I think my brother my question is this. Mr. Jackson, you once criticized the senator, the George Weah, and the rest of the officials of the government. Today, what has changed that you have given all your economic advice to senator and the rest of the government? What has changed economically, politically? What has changed, Mr. Jackson?
Okay, you will respond. This question, hello. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Oliver Khan.
Good evening, my brother. Go ahead. Alexa is here as well.
Before I go into my topic, I would like to appreciate and send a big birthday shout out to our Dr. George Manuel Weah. I'm Samuel T. Daniel calling from Flower Town.
Go ahead, Samuel.
I'm waiting to pledge my loyalty to our guest at this studio, and I'm waiting to work with him come 2023 to run the campaign out of Maserati. Maserati about all the winning.
Okay.
Out of Maserati. This is my number.
Okay, we'll leave you right there. Let's take this question. Go ahead. Hello. Okay, we'll leave you right there. Let's take yes, Alexa, we got 3 more. We take 3 more calls, then we call your day on this edition. This question. Hello, 1 minute.
Hello?
Go ahead, let's hear you.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead, you're alive.
My name is Kwekwe Kim. I'm speaking from Central Monrovia.
Go ahead, Kwekwe.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Jackson. I really admire your explanation. It went out clear with me. But I would like to ask you a question. Looking at Monrovia as a whole, the city of Monrovia as a whole, that including something like Israel, Monrovia could serve as a campaign promotion, and it could also be a default.
based upon the city of Monrovia. Are you satisfied with the way the city mayor is taking care of the city? But that could serve as a campaigner and also go against the ruling party. Are you satisfied with the face of the city?
Okay, he got that message. Let's leave you and take the second to the last person. Hello.
Yeah,
Good evening, my brother. Let's hear you quickly.
Yeah, my name is Jerry Waterman. I call from Clay Street. Let me say hi to this Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
Jerry, you left the line. Let's leave you and take this second to the last person instead. Hello.
Good evening, KOK. Good evening, Princess.
Mhm.
Good evening, Jackson.
Mm-hmm. 1 minute.
This is God's help. You know, every time I listen to Mr. Jackson speak,
Gus, you gotta be audible.
audible.
yeah, or you know, whenever I listen to Mr. Jackson speak on issues of national concern, I think he creates a forum for learning, and it is incumbent upon those young people who haven't experienced some of those things that requires that they need to know
Mm-hmm.
to push this nation forward, to lend their ear whenever he's taking this time off to make some of these presentation. I just want to congratulate you for your support and pray that your advice that you are giving will be well taken.
Okay.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Alessa, let's squeeze in the last person. The very last caller is what we're about to squeeze in.
Well,
Do we have that person or?
no, I'm not really sure. But I mean, let's just go back to you, Mr. Jackson. You listen to all of the callers, their concerns, their questions. So I don't know if I should ask, but one person was talking about the city of Monrovia, and you're talking about probably being one of the campaign manager for the campaign in 2023, and someone is asking about how the city is looking, if that would be one of the factors leading to failing your campaign.
Remember I told you we need a 15 county, 73 district strategy.
Mhm.
So whatever the problems are, Montserrat County is our largest urban center, right?
Mhm.
And this is the also the commercial capital. And ironically, my master of science degree I'm getting from the London School of Economics is in cities, urban economics and sociology.
Mhm.
So I can hopefully, work not in official capacity, but I can interact with the mayor. There are a lot of issues in this city. You have the issue number one of solid waste management.
Mhm.
We have the issue of low electricity penetration, only about 10% of the population in this city. Okay? This is also a city, historically, 70% of people live in slums. It's one of the poorest cities on the planet, right? So, yes, there should be a strategy to improve the lives of the people. But unfortunately, Monrovia and other urban centers in this country are suffering from lack of decentralization, the devolution of power. The Monrovia City Corporation doesn't have its own source revenue, for example. Okay, they don't collect property taxes within the city, so they don't have the budget to make any impact and any inroads in improving the lives of the people of this country. So that should have been a long-term strategy to give the city some degree of autonomy, fiscal autonomy, okay, for many things. And then also there should be more decentralization. I would like to see the city of Monrovia, for example, carve into boroughs, right?
Mhm.
Where each borough will have a representative to the city council. I don't like the fact that the mayor is appointed by the president. We need to have an elected mayor, okay? But that's just the way that Ellen started it, because when I was growing up, we used to elect city mayors here,
Mhm.
but Ellen went and chocolate the whole thing. And this woman is really responsible for undermining progress in this country more than any other president. Because you have 12 years, 12 years, nobody fired firecracker in this town. She could have done it, she didn't do it. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we need to do more for the city of Monrovia, okay, to improve the lives of the people, because urban centers are centers of progress, economic development, science, technology, culture, and all of that. Okay. Now let's come to the common theme. The question was on I criticized Twe and President Ria before.
What has changed?
But if you live here during the 12 years of the Ellen administration, you think I give John Ria and Samuel Twe a hard time? I give Amara and Ellen more hell. You heard me on a consistent basis on what do you name of that FM there? Truth FM. I was on El Anito. I was on their back with the 6668 concession agreements. I was on their back with the fact that we're trying to remove the restrictions on foreign direct investments, the Liberian economic empowerment. I give them actual hell. Ellen called me many times to our offices and said, I beg you. You know, that's the kind of person I am. If you're doing the right thing, I'm with you. And even if you're president and you're doing the right thing, sometimes you do the wrong thing, I would say, for example, what I said here may hurt me when I said that there are two narratives. Where Liberia, I don't believe that Liberian people are going to put dead bodies on the streets for dogs to eat it, and the other narrative with the opposition line. Most people will not come and have that kind of honesty and say, maybe what Patrick Sulu said yesterday, we need to take a look at it to analyze it better. You know, they'll be afraid. What will be the reaction? Oh, they will not like me. My friends in the government will get angry with me. You think I really care if they get angry with me? The worst that can happen to me, I go to my hospital Painesville and get my money for Social Security in the VA every month. That's the worst that can happen in my life. And then I can graduate from the top eco school in the world. I can go to global consulting. You think I'm worried about what people think? I gave Ellen, mommy Pepe on Ellen, you know? Okay. But Troy McGill and myself, we've come to a common ground where there's a commonality of interest now in seeing the re-election of President Weah. So we're working together very well. The same thing when 2011 came. The thing was to defeat the Tubman Weah ticket. So I went and worked with the Ellen campaign team, and we defeat the Tubman Weah team. The same thing, I'm coming now to work with the Weah team to defeat the Cummings, Boyka, Yomli, Ure team. Okay. That's the kind of person I am. Okay. So if they do something egregious against the interests of the people, you think because I'm supporting them, I'm going to put my tail between my leg and just be sure if it's against the interest? Of course not. I will say something about it. Okay. But I will not say it the way I said it before because I'm on their side now. Okay.
Your final parting comments, then we go home.
Well, I'm just, first of all, thank you so much, Oliver. My sister, thank you so much. I forgot your name again.
Alexa.
Alexa, okay, Alexa, Alexa on the Amazon. Right? Alexa, play me that, right? But let God bless Liberia. Look, Liberia is a beautiful country. I'm here with my fiancée from South Africa. You saw her here last time, okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
We're back here again. She loves the country. She loves the beaches. She loves the people. She loves the food. And she sees so much potential in this country. Her goal is to have Liberia and South Africa do a lot of business investments. Because South Africa is an industrial power, commercial power, agricultural power. We can transfer technology from South Africa to Liberia. We can do a lot of things in this country. But guess what? Led a lot of improvements in this country that people don't even know, right? I was so impressed. I went to Oka. You know what Oka is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I went to the supermarkets along there, you know? The prices, not bad. And I see the life on Tubman Boulevard, if we could just expand that other parts, and the expansion of the city into Marshall, to Disco Hill. Okay, the building of the Millennium Village or something, or no, the shuffling.
Yeah, the 14th military city.
No, the 14th military city. This is tremendous, right? And if we can just get electricity and water and those things there, we can really make them to work, we'll be okay. Liberia will be okay. But we must come together. We must have an honest opposition that is working to improve the lives of the people, not trying to undermine the stability of the country. And by the way, before I leave, since it's customary to say happy birthday to our president, I will say happy birthday to Mr. President. Mr. President, happy birthday. I wish you have a many returns of this wonderful day in your life. And God bless you and God bless Liberia. Okay.
So what's up? Welcome back to Delisha Life and Travel.
Thank you. So we will leave you for now. You've been listening to Honorable Sam Jackson. He's been our lone guest today. Until we return here on tomorrow, which is the president's birthday, have a wonderful time. Alexia and I will be here. It's going to be a whole day presentation in honor of the president as he will be celebrating his 55th birth anniversary. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Rastafari.